What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Wilson Auto Detailing community. In this video, we are going to be taking this disgusting, muddy farm truck from what it looks like now, as you're looking at the before, to a fully ceramic-coated vehicle. And we're also going to be talking about the business aspect of a ceramic coating job like this, why we picked the one we picked, and why we are doing it the way we're doing it. So let's go ahead and jump in. So as always, let's go ahead and talk about the context of this vehicle and this customer. This truck is going to be on land when it leaves from my detailing garage. It's going to continue to get muddy. It's going to be driving on a ton of dirt roads, gravel roads, grass, and all that good stuff. And so the customer was looking for something that really doesn't have to be the 5-year protection, the 10-year protection, but just a bit of a longer term protection than he is used to, so as to protect it for the next, let's say, 24-ish months. And that's really the heart behind what we did here. Now I want to walk through physically what we did and then talk more generally towards the end about the why behind that. So right now, all I'm doing is making sure that I knock the dust off, or let's just say the crazy mud off of all these major areas. So that's going to include the wheel wells, the wheels, the tires, and the door jambs. While the door jambs are not always something that I do when I do the exteriors, it kind of depends on the situation. When a truck is this muddy and when we're doing a ceramic coating, you want basically all painted surfaces to just be totally clean, because you can experience some problems if you don't make sure to get those areas that you might not think of, like the door jambs, done. Then after I get those major areas done, I want to pick apart kind of the other, what I might call major areas that don't get cleaned by the pre-foam or the agitation wash. So that's going to be things like major tar spots on the car, major mud spots, and also a bug detail like you see here. Now in the orange bottle, I am using a tar remover, and instead of a pre-foam stage with this truck, I am just going to be spraying the car down with my pressure washer, knocking off all the big chunks, and then taking an actual tar remover, and I'm just going to show you what that looks like on this fender here, and letting that tar remover sit, work, and then I'm going to pressure wash that off, and that's actually going to work as my pre-foam, pre-washing stage. This is a really good strategy to use when you're dealing with a truck that is, well, let's say super beat up and it's got a lot of stuff stuck to it. Sometimes that pre-foam wash is not really strong enough, so I like to do something like that in extreme cases. And because we're going to be doing a light one-step polish on this truck, I'm actually okay to let that tar remover sit on that black paint, even if it does some very, very, very minuscule minor, let's say, staining. It's not going to be anything extreme, but all of that will be pulled out really, really quickly with just that really mild one-step polish that we're going to be using. Now, after that, I want to go ahead and, of course, do my agitation wash, and I'm using the 2-bucket method here, not because I always do, but because, once again, there's a lot of stuff on the exterior of this truck, and I like to just make sure my mitt is as clean as possible, and that's also why I'm using this kind of foam cannon method to apply the soap, just because I want to make sure that every bit of soap I apply is kind of like untouched, and let's just say like virgin soap, rather than me using the traditional 2-bucket method. That's why I'm applying it with that foam cannon. Then I want to go ahead and make sure that I can clay bar every major surface, which is really every area of the car, before I use some Optimum Ferrex as an iron remover. I'm going to make sure that this iron remover is sprayed all over the paint, trim, plastics, wheels as well, basically every part of the car. And then I just take a microfiber towel that's really dunked in my soapy solution, and I just move the iron remover around a little bit. Not like I'm washing the car again, but I just want to move it around the paint before I flood the paint just with my garden hose nozzle, and make sure that I wash all of that off. After I dry the paint with a simple drying towel here, I'm just going to blow out some of those cracks and crevices that tend to kind of hold water and it drips over time, just to make sure that I'm dealing with a dry surface. And then I'm going to move to my paint preparation, simply taking that Optimum Paint Prep, using that to let it sit on the paint for maybe about 30 seconds at a time, then wiping it off. And again, I'm using this on every single area, and I'm pretty intentional about this. Really just want to make sure that all of those oils or residues are taken off the paint. And then for my fine polishing one-step step, really simple process here before we actually put the ceramic on. I'm going to be using a finishing pad from Lake Country as well as the Optimum Hyper Polish. I'm not going to be spending too much time on any given panel because once again, like I said, we want to go ahead and start talking about the business aspect of this video, and this is a good segue. This particular customer wasn't looking for something where the paint was going to be finished to perfection and we want to remove as much clear coat as possible in order to do that, and we want the 5-year or the 10-year or the lifetime coating put on the paint. This particular customer was looking for something that simply could protect at a higher level than other coatings or other spray coatings or commonly used products, but not something that's going to be insanely expensive or something with an expectation where it's going to last just an unbelievable amount of time. We're going to do another ceramic coating on this truck later. It's okay that this one's going to degrade over time. He's also not looking for something that he has to maintain on a weekly, bi-weekly, even monthly basis. Once again, yes, there are people in the world who have black trucks like this that are going to be used on the farm, and even though they're going to be used on land and kind of beat up in some ways, they want there to be some sort of sacrificial barrier, even if it's not going to be something that's maintained like the Lamborghini or Ferrari owner, and that's why we're doing it this way. Now, the particular ceramic coating that we are using is the Crystal Serum Light from Gtechniq, and as you guys know, the Crystal Serum Light generally is topped with EXO. So that's what's happening in this video as well, and I want to explain just a couple little small practical tips of what you see me actually doing in this video when I'm applying the ceramic. I'll do around 1 to 2, let's say, little pipette droplets or strips on my applicator, and then I'll actually make some sort of diagonal line or let's say vertical line in the middle of the panel that I'm doing, and then continue with my crosshatch pattern. What that allows me to do is spread the coating a little bit more evenly, a little bit more easily. So you see that diagonal line I just did, and then I go back and forth. It kind of just gets the, let's say, bulk of the coating, because of course when I first put the coating on, that's when most of it's going to come off the applicator. So it kind of lets me get, let's say, just the bulk of that coating in the whole panel, on the whole panel, spread really easily. So it just makes things relatively simple, and that's why I like to do it that way. Some people are also wondering, well, how can you do this outside? Isn't it better to do it inside? Aren't there really specific rules with all of this? And the simple answer to that is yes. There's a ton of things to know with ceramic coatings. There's a ton of rules. There's a ton of training programs that you can go to that will say don't do it outside. And generally speaking, I don't like doing it outside either. But once again, because of the specific circumstances, the specific agreement with this customer and what they're expecting, doing this particular coating outside in very cool weather is not going to hurt anything where it exists outside of the expectation that the customer actually has. Now guys, like always, if you want any of the tools or products seen in this video, make sure to check them out in the YouTube description box below and grab my free guide to starting your auto detailing business for under $500 in the same place. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.